collaboration doesn't happen here, why doesn't it happen?
Well, actually it does, but not, I suppose, in a structured way. I mean, myself and Stephen collaborate and share ideas and help each other with our businesses. The same with Cathal. You know, I think that I did an Enterprise Ireland US market access, and I was blown away by the fact that the culture over there is so different for startups. They all talk to each other, even if they're competing head to head. There's a kind of well, did that work for you, or did that work for you? Because I don't know, it's just more collaborative. And when I first met Stephen, you could have taken the position, well, we're both in a very similar space, collaboration, making music, social musicians and stuff like that. And I said to him, I said, heck it, we could be both dead tomorrow, we could be both massively successful tomorrow, but we can be of value to each other. And I think that's a mentality. The wheel is very round. And you don't have to be naive and stupid about it. Like, we do video, he does more audio and social music stuff. So, there is a big difference between what we do, but there's an awful lot we can learn from each other.
And what's missing from making that collaboration happen a bit more? I mean, officially, there's a lot of missings. It's unusual that Ireland's most indigenous industry, if you like, culture and music, where we're world leaders, we're the least organised. We're more organised on biotech, which of course is very indigenous to Ireland. When you think about it, so what's preventing that? Is it that we're too relaxed about it, Cathal?
These things take time sometimes to build. I do think like everyone says, there's a startup events, and it's a bit irritating, but there is a better culture of failure and celebrating the lessons of failure in other countries. So maybe in collaboration, sometimes Irish people can be a bit reluctant to admit weaknesses and admit mistakes they've made. So, I mean, personally, I find, I remember John and I kind of bonded a bit. We were arguing about something at South by Southwest anyway.
I was giving him a hard time about his presentation.
Shit, which everyone
he was
does.
too hungover.
I don't drink, for the record, so it was many things. I wasn't as prepared as I could have been, and I argued my side. But it's at moments like that you kind of build a relationship and a bit of trust with someone, and therefore both of us opened up to each other a bit more about our story as a company. And it is frustrating, you're right, because look, English is the language of the internet. We're equipped with that straight away. We're sorted compared with other countries and other nationalities. The other thing is we're a nation of storytellers, and that's ultimately what music is, telling stories through their songs and through their albums. So, but I think it's coming together. I think it just takes, it's a bit like what I was saying earlier about ideas are cheap. It's actually doing it. And a great way to collaborate is what I try and do. Don't always succeed, but if you agree to meet someone and put time into talking to them, that's the most valuable thing you have. So say at the very start of the meeting, let's try and do something out of this. Let's not just leave this meeting going, oh yes, we must talk again about the possibility of If you're going to sit down with someone and you have something in common, like John and I were literally over there on the side talking about something we might try and put together that would be really good for both companies. So we're going to try and do it. It'll either work or it won't. Yeah. But committing to do things together.
Something.
I think Cathal mentioned time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to create something, you have to have time. You also have to have leadership. You have to have someone who's going to go. And I think this is probably one of the challenges for all the CEOs here is time. I would love to set up and push Enterprise Ireland, push groups to set up, let's say a music tech cluster that, we get some of these great music technology companies together and some great artists and, some great PR people and try and make something really great out of this. But I have a company to run, I have shareholders, I've
but so does everybody else. So do the software guys, so do the biotech guys, etc. You could say that about anybody. You could say that about any group. We haven't
yet had a really big music tech success. With all due respect, like some of the gaming stuff, a lot of the work put into setting up those groups were by people who had
Balcony
great-
TV is making noises down here.
Okay, they had an exit, so they're just volunteering
Yeah.
to set up the music tech
Tom
cluster
Millett,
of Ireland.
exactly.
Yeah.
Tom Millett has been nominated, ex-Balcony TV, huge multi-millionaire, clearly. He's sold out. He's buying the drinks. But maybe Tom, that's something, Tom, you could do. You can lead, we should talk about this, but lead forward a group, because I think you're right, it needs a champion to lead forward a group that's going to form. I'll give you an idea for free.
Sorry, I'll just say one thing. Tom, Balcony TV, talked to John, and I know Cal, and I've been involved in the music industry for all my life as a musician, and just sold a music company, small music company. But I think what we talked about before is that we all need to get together. We're all these little fragments of success stories, and anywhere else in the world, they talk to each other and they do something big. I think there's something big coming. I was blown away by Whole World Band when I met you a couple of months ago, and I was trying to sell you something or do something. I was on my own thing, and then I stepped back, and there's a massive opportunity for everybody in this room and all of us. And I'm be starting a new music website, I think, pretty soon, or a new idea. And I think we all need to get together and create a world platform. And I think we can do that.
Okay, the LinkedIn group is something. Also, I would say you can also hijack Paddy Cosgrave, which is always a nice thing to do. The summit, of course, the summit is going to do everything. There is actually a music summit as part of the summit. And I would, as part of the output of this, I would be getting on to Paddy, and I'm sure he'd be delighted to do it.
I just want to say, just that you were saying earlier on about like the why nots of the situation, like why don't we act in the same way that startups do in America? I think it's just time to just not even ask the question, just do it. Just like it doesn't matter. It fundamentally doesn't matter. Just do it. Do you know what I mean? So I think I've seen attitudes and stuff within the industry where certain people won't work with other people, and an idea will encroach on somebody else's territory in a tiny way, and there'll be a fence made.
Yeah.
And it's just time to kind of put it behind us and just get on with it.
Yeah, sounds good. Cathal?
Just jumping in on that, there's a cool thing that will hopefully happen if we fast forward a year or two, and that's if some of the music technology companies take off, or video technology or whatever, then they're like a lot of the content on fan footage is fantastic Irish bands. So hopefully as we go places, then we'll take the talent in the live music industry in Ireland with us and help showcase those bands around the world. Same with Whole World Band. So there's a massive synergy between everyone here, because these guys are saying that they're it's a really exciting time for bands because they can get fans in Argentina just by Facebook page and sharing music, but trying to figure out recurring revenue and try and make it all
but again,
long-term
I
sustainable.
would say you're extraordinary. If you look at it, content, fans, influence, studio, recording, breaking through, and recognizing new talent. I mean, there's the industry. And that's just 5 random guys here. What about all the other guys? And we know there are other series. So it's extraordinary what you have. But the funny thing is, so why hasn't it happened? Why hasn't the industry come together? It is probably the most complete global industry that we have in the country. It really is.
It will happen, I think, but these things, like even the media work in narratives. So the story is like, you mentioned Paddy Cosgrove in the summit. One thing they've done is shine a massive spotlight every year on Dublin. Everyone's here.
Yeah.
I do think, and it's a criticism, stick the video up, tweet it out if you want, but up until now, I think the Web Summit music was background for it, and I think you have to respect the musicians and build something special around music.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what the Summit have set out their stall to do this year. So, I mean, if you're talking about a point, if everyone here was doing something cool at the Summit this year, and we all got to showcase our wares at the Music Summit, that's when everyone is there. That's when the word goes out.
And the world media is in Dublin in October. You'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, and we'll get the guys playing there, and we'll get Niall blogging about it, and we'll get some fantastic breaking bands and new talent, and everyone will look great out of it. And then the world's media goes, something incredible is happening in Dublin, and then they send more reporters over. That's how the world works. So,
Go ahead, Greg.
The terrain, like I was mentioning earlier on, the terrain is changing so quickly. One of the things is a friend of mine had a great kind of quote of how to describe it. He's like, back in the day, like in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was like the record industry put on 5 €10 bets. Or sorry, put on 500 €10 bets.
Yeah.
And like nowadays they just put on one huge one on a guarantee. Do you know what I mean? Which is that's how much things have changed. It's like, whereas before, you know, you were allowed to develop yourself as an artist and you were allowed to kind of make mistakes and
total
learn.
Change.
It's completely changed. So what's happening now is the fine people who are on this panel with me are kind of, in a way, filling in the gaps there.
But talent, you said it yourself in your own time, talent shines through.
Yeah.
So technology
It doesn't
exposes.
always.
Yeah.
John.
It doesn't always, and unless you have people shining a light on talent, you know, unless you have people like Niall or Niall going, that's feckin' good, you know, it doesn't happen. You know, it doesn't always happen. Like, life doesn't work like that, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, just on that point as well, you're talking about the tech industry and there's so much music tech here. I mean, what's really happening in terms of the music in Ireland is that there's lots of really amazing music happening. And not only is it really good, the point is there's lots of people who are doing smart things, who are addressing the right people in the industry, who are talking to labels, talking to A&R. So there's a lot
trying out new models as well.
Trying out new models. I mean, there's an old way of doing things, there's a new way of doing things, but there's a lot of people who are looking at Ireland at the moment because of people like in the last 5-6 years. You've had like Lisa Hannigan, James Lewis McMorrow, Coatline, Hosier, Walking on Cars are going to be assigned by a label, I think, if they haven't already. And there's lots of these bands out there, and the reason is there's another focus on Dublin and Ireland as a result. So it's really a case for me. I want to, what you said earlier on about you know, the support for that. For someone like myself, it's a case of putting it out there, but also at festivals like South by Southwest, putting a united front where people are aware that this stuff is happening in Ireland and stuff like the Summit, and I think that's what they have talked about doing this year. I don't know for sure.
I think just one thing I would also say about, you know, the challenge in the music business. Like, I mean, venture capitalism is considered the highest risk, you know, and typically a venture capitalist will bet on 10 companies. One of them will be a huge success, one might wash his face, and the others will be
Cost of business.
Yeah. In the music business, I don't know, 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000. You know, the risk and the odds of
but I think what you're finding now is that, like what I mentioned earlier on about statistics, like if you're talking about major labels, they're looking at those kind of statistics. They're looking for bands to be self-starters before they get involved at a certain point. And essentially those big labels are essentially distribution and
next
PR
big
centers.
sound, next big sound,
Yeah.
big data.
I mean,
we don't even go and look at the band unless the stats on Facebook and Google and everything.
Yeah, new
I mean, there is a danger with that as well.
And that's
of
what
course.
Google and Facebook do on the company acquisition side.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
look to see startups. Yeah, that's growing. Right, we'll take them out early.
Yeah. Stephen, new acts. Yeah.
Like social filtering is becoming a bigger thing now as well. So, you know, everybody has a voice. So everybody can go and spot something that they think is pretty cool, and they can be an ambassador for that piece of music. And you know, this is one of the things we're trying to do with the Wall of Sound is to allow people to socially filter what they think is good, so that the really great music that's loved by the people rises to the top. But you know, I think there's definitely there's room for both things, because it becomes the way what Niall is doing. You know, somebody's pointing at it and saying, I like this is really, really great. But also, I mean, socially, people have, just in general, have an opinion on things now. So it's really great to see.
All right. They say geography is history nowadays. So even the idea of an Irish music industry is kind of a stupid idea. Like, why would you? Is there a music industry in Tuam?
Well,
You know, where do you draw?
It fits in with the narrative of, like Cathal was saying, you know,
does,
if there's a buzz about a place, that benefits everyone, because then people are coming here to see the music, they're coming here because of things like the Summit. And, you know, it's a reputation thing, I think. That's what a lot of it is.
But the funny bit for me, again,
Yeah.
is that if you went out and polled people across cities around Europe and said, okay, there's a new breakthrough city in music, where do you think it is? You know, for sure, it's Dublin. Like, it's almost going to happen. there's very few industries you could do that with. And it's almost a sitting there waiting to be taken. And I think it's up to this group, to do the next stage on that, to actually make that happen.
Well, it is interesting, I think, in the internet age, starting a company now, if you're starting on the internet, you're instantly global. We've used, I don't know how many users you have in different countries, but I think we've users in 97 countries. There's an amazing harpist from Brazil, and, people from all over the world. And you're just kind of going, wow, that's really cool, and I think that's one of the exciting things that for a startup in the internet age, you can be instantly global. And if you're particularly if you're in a creative area, it's like, wow,
but there are new
bloke playing sitar on my track.
Exactly. But there are new challenges, though, aren't there? Because it's easier, as they say, another great phrase, easier to communicate, harder to get heard, because everyone's at it. So how do you get through?
But I was just going to say, like from an artistic point of view or whatever, really to get the narrative going, what Noyler's touching on there, is, we need a concerted effort, I think.
In what way?
In a, I suppose, in a publication type of way, and to get everybody pushing the same cart at the same time, to create those things don't come about, I think, without some sort of work happening right across the board, and some sort of togetherness, so all the people up here and the different type of work that everyone's doing is great, because that's exactly what's needed.
You need hype and substance.
Yeah.
And there's substance there.
Yeah. Just need the marketing bit at the end. All hype.
But you know what I mean? Because you can hype something, and if there's no substance, it's not going to go anywhere. It's like, you see the latest album, and it's fantastic, and they do a massive PR campaign, it just bombs because it's crap.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it's a shit song, if it's a shit album,
and substance without hype,
it ain't going to sell.
And
you
substance,
need both. You need the substance, the reality, but you also need the buzz and the hype.
Yeah, well, we're usually quite good at the hype, so that should be no problem. Can I just turn it over to the very attentive audience? Is there, there's lots of people here. There's even one investor here. I won't point them out. They're blushing now. But there's quite a representative group here. Is there anything like soapbox style that we missed here, or like somebody'd like to explore a bit further or throw it out there?
But I wonder if you want to organize too much those people, you are going to kill the creativity. They need the creativity. And if you mingle with the same people, you become incest. That means, hold on, keep your own identity apart to each other. And maybe you can gather time to time, but don't mingle and sleep in the same bed. Please.
Very French. Do not sleep in. Don't sleep in the same bed. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's
okay. Great point. Yeah. Artist.
And I was going to say, that's it for me. It's a great point. It's a clear point, though. I mean, I would, under no circumstances, change the music that I make because I collaborated with somebody here. Do you know what I mean? I have convictions about what it is to make the music that we make,
and I don't think we're going to turn into the next Korea.
But I don't think that's what it's about. I think
K-pop.
I think it's about getting people from different aspects of the industry and then lining them all up, you know what I mean, or whatever, and getting them all facing the same direction.
You see, you're French, right? We don't do that. We can't work as a team. Okay. Anything else? Anything else we missed? Yes.
Fearful that you don't lose the run of yourselves, or we all don't lose ourselves. What you said was interesting. You're there. Oh, sorry, I forget your name.
Craig.
You said you were touching on communication. Communication is the most important thing. I play a lot, and I play in small little venues for no money, but telling stories and treasuring the moments. Like what you're saying, it's not getting into the bed with places that you don't want to be in. You're with the people you love, and it's about communication. It's so important. The rest, the business, we can make that. We can connect and make that. But the most important thing when you come down to telling stories and making music is just communicate and be with each other. Really.
Great. I think that's a great point as well. I think the idea, again, it's back to the team. Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? And of course, It's both, and it's what we do with it, I think. Anybody else? I got kind of one more minute before the band. Look at them; they're dying to go. Anything else? Miss anything?
Well, I mean, it's absolutely hugely integral to what I have done and continue to do, because it allows me to be, I'm already robust as a one-man operation, but the fact that I have those skills means I can adapt and change as needed and take in, if there's different platforms that are taking off, I can adapt to them because I'm not waiting for anybody else to do it. And yeah, that's a huge thing for me, is like learning not just what you do as well, but also be more aware of what's happening around you. And that's part of what we're talking about here, in terms of, for me, it's really useful to have these kind of meetups, because you don't often get the excuse to do it if you're not.
Correct.
Where I often feel like it's either one space or the other. You know, it's like you get tech, you get music, and they don't often come together too often. So maybe that would be.
It doesn't have to become homogenized.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to become homogenized. You know, you can learn from each other and still stay different.
Stay the same.
You know, you probably have huge influences. You know, different bands, but you sound different. You have your own sound. You know.
Yeah.